I really started looking into the life of this person, and this song kept coming back to me, and it relates to me, so I hope it relates to you. I'm going to actually sing, okay? Just ahead of time, I'm not trying out for American Idol. I do not think I sing well. I just think this song ties in really well. So I'm going to sing a few different, not songs, a couple different stanzas so that you can understand. Okay, so I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm going to sing. Are you ready? Because I'm actually going to sing. Okay, all right. I'm actually going to do this. Okay. Tell me what you're feeling, baby, and what it all means. You can be defensive or open and share your dreams. You can keep right on denying or face me and start crying. But this time when I reach out, it may be my last try. Ooh, baby, I want something real one time before I die. Now I'm sharing this with you because, well, if you look at the song in the beginning, she is in a relationship, a new relationship. You don't go to your spouse of 20 or 30 years saying, open up, baby, tell me your dreams. I want to hear them. And oh, by the way, I want something real one time before I die. You don't talk to a seasoned marriage with this kind of dialogue. So she's in this new marriage, or new relationship, and she's just inquiring. Now the second part of this, if I remember what the second part goes like, give me a second. It goes like this. We'll cry until it's funny, baby, and laugh ourselves to tears. And if you're frightened, honey, I'll hold you through your fears. You see, I've had some bad relationships already. I've fooled around, I've gone steady. But this time when I reach out, it may be my last try. Ooh, baby, I want something real one time before I die. Okay, in this part, she's actually putting herself out as the whole enchilada. She is everything. We're going to have a hard time in life, and we're going to cry until it's funny. It's going to be okay. We are going to have so much fun, we're going to laugh ourselves to tears. And you know what? When it gets really bad, I'm going to hold you through your fears. I'm everything you could want. But guess what? I have fooled around, and I have gone steady. I have surfed the relationships, and I have dived deep into them. But just this one time, I'm looking for something real. One time before I die. So this song kind of followed me throughout my young life. About me. I was born in a Christian home, went to church till about age 5, and my mom decided to stop going to church. Long story. But I personally didn't go back into the church until age 20, 30-ish. I really started getting back into the Bible. I love my Bible. I love reading the stories in the Bible. I was getting into it. I was really absorbed and sponging. I was everything in the Bible. Everything was liquid. Everything, I was saturated in it. But I got to this one story, which I love, and I also connected very well with it because of my past. I noticed there was a lot missing. I noticed the woman of Samaria, the woman at the well. There was so much in this story. Guess what? This story, she had the longest speaking engagement with Jesus ever documented in the Bible. The longest conversation had to be with the woman, of course, right? But she had the longest conversation with him, and yet there's so much missing in here. And I went to the Lord on it. I said, what's wrong with it? Why is so much of her missing in this story? I went to commentaries. I Googled, I went through and I searched, and I feel like they all missed the mark on her. So I went to Jesus, and Jesus, honestly, he just gave me the rest of the story, and I hope that you'll listen and understand a little bit more about the Samaritan woman, the woman at the well. Not the Samaritan, I'm sorry, the Samaritan woman. Not Samaritan. So here we are. One thing about her is that she's a Sumerian woman, so she's a half-breed. That's a pretty lowly person. On top of that, she's a woman. Okay, we're just gonna put it out there like it was there, even lower. And also, she had looked for love in all the wrong places. So, my first thought when I heard this story is, what happened? Usually, women don't go out of their way to become this lowly woman back in those days. What happened to this woman when she was younger, maybe, that caused her to be a prostitute of sorts? What made her feel like she had to go looking for love in all the wrong places? Was she raped or molested as a child? Was she the dumb one in a family of 10, and so her brothers and sisters ridiculed her? Was she raising up and to be a beautiful young woman, and her mother was threatened by her presence in the house and put her off and called her lesser things to make her feel lesser than her? I don't know what happened to the woman. Jesus didn't reveal that one to me. But he did reveal to me that she was searching this whole time. Now, the well is outside of Sychar, and this is where we're going to start the story. She is half a mile from the well. She's outside of the city. This is what I know about her that isn't said. She has positioned herself. Other commentaries and other pastors would say that's just where she was. And she was just going to the well. I know this woman. This is a familiar story to me. She positioned herself there. She was in a place where the well was traveled by many travelers. They would come and go. Now, Jews didn't go into Samaria, of course, because they didn't intermingle, but that well was free to use from other travelers. But she was an opportunist. She knew full well that new people came through this way. So she was not looking for small talk like the other ladies would go in the early mornings or late evenings. She wasn't looking for social hour. She wasn't looking for anything but one thing real before she died. She was looking for what we all look for, love. But we usually look for another person, and that's where she was at when she was at the well with Jesus. Now previously, Jesus is walking along. Of course, it's on average there during the day, about 100 degrees. And they say that it was about noon when he showed up there. So that's where we're going to start. There came a one of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said, "Give me a drink." For his disciples had gone into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman came and said, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink, since I am a Samaritan woman?" For Jews have no dealing with Samaritans. So right there, I want to show you her. She has no problem talking with men. Usually, a Jew would not speak to a Samaritan or a Samaritan woman, and a rabbi would not talk to a single woman outside of a well. It's just, all of those things don't happen. She has no problem, and Jesus has no problem. So there we're here, bantering back and forth is what I consider this. She's testing the waters at the well, so to speak. She says, "Sir, you have nothing to draw from, and the well is deep. Where then do you get this living water? Are you not greater than our father Jacob? Are you who gave us the well and drank of it himself and his sons and cattle?" And Jesus says to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water shall thirst. But whoever drinks of the water I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall come up in him a well, a water springing up to eternal life." And this is when the woman says, "Sir, give me this water so I won't come this way no more." She's saying, "Give me this that I am searching for so that I will not come here again to the well looking for something I will never find in man alone." And he says, "Oh, go get your husband." Okay, right now her position is give me. Okay, this guy is offering something to her. Usually men take from her. Right now he is offering something, and she's like, "Give me this thing. Give me this that I yearn for so badly." And he's going, "Go get your husband." Her position is like this. I don't have any husbands. Her position is all forward. I don't want to think about my past. I don't want you to, I don't even care about what you know about I just want what you want to give me. And he says, in fact, you've had 5 husbands, and the one you are with is not your husband. And she's not surprised by this. I don't think she is. I think she fully started understanding who she was talking to. As she continues in this conversation with Jesus, and I'm going to cut it a little bit short, I'm not going to go into complete context, but Jesus and her were still talking in 25, John 4:25. The woman says, I know the Messiah is coming. He is called Christ, the one that is coming, and he declares all things to us. And Jesus says, I, who speak to you, am he. Now, I believe that right in that moment, in these words that they were talking back and forth, she was actually just getting her conversion. She was actually already in her soul repenting of all of her sins. I believe that she was actually contemplating how she could be forgiven if in fact this man was the Messiah. I believe that this was kind of her moment. There's so much missing in the story that's not said, but I believe this was the time that she was in her soul repenting and believing in what this man was saying, that he was in fact the man, the Christ, the Messiah. At this point is where she breaks off. This is when the disciples come back. They're marveling at him talking to this woman, this Samaritan woman, this prostitute of sorts. They don't even say a thing. They're just marveling that he is actually doing this. And I think a lot of times the disciples did this with Jesus. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? I think they're past this point. They're just like, there's Jesus doing this thing again he's not supposed to do. Talking to this woman, talking to her about her life. And here she is running away from him as they come up. And she is going to the city to call the men. And she goes into the city saying, this guy, this man told me all the bad things I've done. This guy knows me. I mean, come on, you guys don't even know the things I've done. I've done a lot of bad things, and he knows all of it. Could this be the Messiah? Could this be the prophet? Could this be who he says he is? And the men came running from the city. They came in, and they sat down and talked to Jesus at the well. And within a few short conversations back and forth, they believed, and they knew. And they went to her, and they said, we know what you say is true. Not because you said it was true, but we see for ourselves. And in that moment, an actual whole city was saved by Jesus because of the desire that this woman had to find something just one time before she dies, something real. So I want you to note one thing here. Again, she didn't do the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of Christianity. She didn't say, I believe, I repent, da, da, da. She didn't do any of that. She wasn't repentant, baptized, and then go sit under many teachings before she was saved. She literally, in the walking and talking with Jesus, was saved. Her belief in what he knew about her, the belief that he would give her what she needed, she so desired it, overruled everything else. The one thing that's great about this story is that there's nothing that you can do. Jesus broke down the walls of race, nationality, sex, moral issues. He did not care what she had done. Again, she's the lowest of low that you could be in this particular culture. He didn't care. He wanted her. He wanted her to know the love that only he can give. So I leave you with this. Salvation comes to those who are desperate and seeking. Now, I'm not saying you're desperately seeking in the Bible. You have to be really desperate and in a low point in your life. And so many times, and so many stories I've heard from other Christians, it's when Jesus shows up, it's when you are at your lowest. He doesn't care. He comes to anyone, any place. You just have to repent and believe. Jesus broke down all those walls, and he's here to break down any walls that you may have pre-conceived that you can't know this love of Jesus.